In the world of firearms, many guns give you the advantage of their precision, power, and reliability. But there are some that are built to frustrate you due to their design flaws and bizarre performance. Have you ever encountered any weapon that made you think why it was even made? Are you curious to know some of those guns that shouldn't have been made? Let's explore 7 cursed guns that should have never existed. Number 8. Nambu Type 94. The Nambu Type 94 stands out among the firearms that should have never been made and is regarded as one of the worst service pistols ever made. It made its first appearance in 1934 when Japan was knee-deep in its expansion into Asia. They needed firearms very fast, and they ended up with one of the most cursed firearms. This weapon had an exposed trigger bar that was quite dangerous. It is located on the left side of the frame and can be accidentally pressed and cause an accidental discharge. So even during holstering or gripping the weapon, it can go off unintentionally. Isn't it something dangerous? Then comes the firing pin, which is weak and breaks at the most critical moment. You will keep on pulling the trigger and it will not work. The Nambu Type 94 was not so accurate and had a short barrel, so hitting anything beyond arm's length was a real challenge. You might get lucky with targets that are not too far, but anything that is a few feet away, that's where things get difficult. The durability of this pistol also got worse with time. The later war versions were rough and ugly, covered in machining marks with bad bluing. Putting the Nambu Type 94 into production was not at all a good idea. This gun is something that should have never been made. Number 7. Colt Model 1855 Revolving Carbine. What if you encountered a weapon that was more dangerous than it was helpful? The Colt Model 1855 Revolving Carbine is such a firearm that can harm its user just like the enemy. It is a uniquely built firearm that combines the firepower of a revolver with the accuracy of a rifle. The idea might sound great, but in reality it has many flaws. The biggest problem of this weapon is firing off multiple chambers simultaneously when you pull the trigger that can directly hit the shooter's hand. You are not sure if it was going to fire one round or all of them at once. But that's not the only concern. Imagine you are in a critical situation and your rifle is struggling to work. Would you want that kind of reliability in your weapon? I guess not. The Model 1855 faced the same issues with its revolving mechanism prone to jamming, leaving you in trouble. In addition, the gap between the cylinder and the barrel allowed hot gases to escape when fired, putting your hands at serious risk. And yes, if you want something lightweight to carry easily for longer periods, the Colt Model 1855 would disappoint you here as well. It was built heavy and is far from being convenient. So do you think this is the kind of firearm you would want to depend on? Number 6. FP45 Liberator. When talking about the guns that shouldn't have been made, the FP45 Liberator is a weapon that definitely deserves a spot on the list. Imagine you have invested in a firearm only to throw it away after a single use. Sounds ridiculous, right? The FP45 Liberator is such a weapon built from cheap materials that can be used once without guaranteeing any reliability. This weapon could only fire one shot at a time, but you never know whether it actually hit the target. If you miss the shot, you don't have another chance, as reloading it was really a task that required removing the empty shell with a wooden stick, something you would not want in critical moments. At just a pound in weight and small enough to slip into your pockets, the FP45 seems like an ideal pistol. It might be convenient, but its unreliability and slow reloading process turn it into a risky weapon, rather than a firearm you can really depend on. Number 5. Mars Pistol. The Mars pistol is another failed creation that tried too hard to be the most powerful handgun, but ended up being an unreliable and trouble-giving weapon. Designed in the early 1900s, this pistol was made bigger and heavier compared to most of the pistols of that time that could fire high-velocity cartridges at speeds of up to 1,750 feet per second. Isn't it super fast? But don't get too excited. It sure has an insane speed, but this thing punched back with so much force, which makes it one of the most uncontrollable guns out there. No matter if you are an experienced shooter, you just can control it. What made this pistol worse was the ejection system that threw away the used cartridges straight back at the shooter's face. Let's not forget the insane recoil this pistol delivers. If you are not ready to experience those strong kicks, don't even think of trying this pistol. Instead of making things simple and straightforward, the Mars pistol makes it more complicated with its long recoil and rotating bolt system. It was a nightmare to maintain and prone to malfunctions that were not at all practical for general use. It also had a strange magazine design where the steel finger had the top cartridge in place. When you needed to load it, you had to pull the bullet back and lift it up, making reloading a hassle. This thing didn't work out and was soon stopped from production, proving that bigger is not always the better. Number 4. Gilcinti Model 1910. How about a gun that breaks when pushed too hard or fails at the most critical moment? Such a firearm definitely deserves the title of a cursed gun, and one of those is the Gilcinti Model 1910. Yes, it looks like a strong pistol, but in reality is too delicate to handle high-powered ammunition, so it can only use a weak round. This delicacy made it prone to malfunctions, so it needed regular maintenance to function properly, especially in harsh conditions of warfare, which makes it one of the most unreliable weapons out there. But this is not the only flaw. This thing also lacked stopping power, so the soldiers who relied on this firearm faced major disadvantages. The Gilcinti Model 1910 also had a little removable plate on its left side for easy cleaning, but it's no less than a trouble too. This thing pops open mid-fire and ends up falling apart on you. Something you wouldn't want in a critical moment, right? And with only 7 rounds in the magazine, you have to make sure your every single shot hits perfectly without missing any. It's not exactly the kind of firepower that boosts your confidence. Gilcinti Model 1910 is remembered for all these flaws and has cemented its status as one of the cursed guns in the world of firearms. Number 3. Crossfire MK1. When it comes to firearms that shouldn't have been made, the Crossfire MK1 is a prime example. This weapon was made to combine a rifle and a shotgun into one package, which sounds like a cool idea, but guess what? It ended up being an awkward firearm. The weapon was operated using a single pump action system with a 5.56mm rifle on one side and a 12-gauge shotgun on the other. The resulting firearm was so heavy and unbalanced, not exactly ideal for fast-paced scenarios. And switching between a rifle and a shotgun mode was not at all easy. You had to deal with tiny levers and selectors, which was quite a hassle. Would you want to be stuck in the process of switching modes in a tense situation? Of course not. What made this already problematic gun even worse was its pump action system, which was not smooth, making it hard to cycle rounds quickly. All these downsides made the Crossfire MK1 a complete flop in the market. In addition, its hefty price tag further led to poor sales and discontinuation that left people thinking, why was it even made in the first place? Number 2. Cobra CA380. Who doesn't get attracted to an affordable weapon? A budget-friendly weapon sounds like a great deal until you encounter the Cobra CA380, which proves that cheaper doesn't always mean a good idea. Chambered in .380 ACP, it's compact, affordable, and easy to conceal, weighing at just 22 ounces, which seems like a great option, but it's not. The pistol is reported to have jams, misfires, and even broken parts after minimal use. What if you took it out for personal defense and it failed to work? It's not comforting at all. When you take a closer look at the top of the chamber, you will notice little dents in the frame, which are signs of its poor and cheap quality. Plus, there are no external controls and no slide lock, so you don't even know if you are out of ammo. And when it comes to magazine release, it's not a smooth process. You definitely have to fight a battle to get the old magazine out and insert a new one. Would you really like to fight your own gun when you are already in the middle of another fight? Sure, it's easy on your wallet with a price of around $120 only, but that doesn't mean you can trust it to fire in your most stressful situations. So it's better to spend a little more and get a dependable firearm you can easily rely on, even in the most tense scenarios. Number 1. Dardic 1500. The Dardic 1500 absolutely earns its spot on the list of cursed guns that should never have been made. This firearm is a perfect blend of a revolver and a semi-automatic pistol and uses a unique triangular cartridge known as a tround instead of traditional ones. The idea behind this was to ensure smooth feeding into the gun's open-sided cylinder, but it turned out to be a complete disaster. These trounds are not your regular ammo and are hard to find, so if you run out, you are left bare-handed. In addition, it was bulky and not practical at all. The Dardic 1500 could hold 15 rounds, which is something very impressive, but like most modern guns, it didn't use a removable magazine, and the bullets were stored inside the gun's grip, which made reloading a hassle. So instead of swapping out a magazine, you need to reload each bullet one by one, which makes the entire process super slow. Therefore, the Dardic 1500 had to be shut down from production with only 100 units ever made. Doesn't it feel like a complete failure? So what do you think of these cursed guns on our list? Do they deserve a production run, or should they never have been made in the first place? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. Thanks for joining us today. Take care and see you.